I've been a flight attendant for almost 7 years. I've dealt with turbulence, medical emergencies, even aggressive passengers. But nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what happened over the Atlantic that night. Because when we landed, there was one more crew member on board than when we took off. It was a red-eye flight from New York to London. 2:11 a.m., most passengers were asleep. The cabin lights were dimmed to that soft blue glow airlines use at night. We were cruising at 35,000 feet, somewhere over the Atlantic. The captain came over the intercom calmly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're passing through a temporary signal dead zone. You may notice a brief Wi-Fi interruption. That's normal over certain parts of the ocean." No one thought anything of it. But then, small things started happening. The Wi-Fi didn't just cut out. The seatback screens froze. The moving map, gone. And the cabin temperature dropped. Not slightly. Cold enough that I could see my breath. I was walking down the aisle, checking on passengers, when I noticed something strange. Seat 27A. Someone was sitting there. That wouldn't be weird, except 27A was unassigned. I remember clearly, because earlier a couple had asked to switch into that row, and I told them it was unavailable due to weight distribution balancing. But now, a man was sitting there, head down, hands folded. I approached him. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" He slowly lifted his head. Completely normal face, normal clothes, normal expression. But his eyes, there was no reflection in them. The cabin lights weren't bouncing off his pupils. It looked like they absorbed the light instead of reflecting it. And then he smiled, not wide, not creepy, just slightly delayed, like he had to remember how. I went straight to the galley and pulled up the passenger manifest on the tablet. Seat 27A, empty. No last-minute changes, no upgrades, no standbys. I turned back toward the cabin. Seat 27A was empty again. Right then, the cockpit called. The captain's voice was tight. "Did we add someone to the crew mid-flight?" I laughed nervously. "No, sir. Still 5 of us." There was a pause. "Count again." So I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I counted 6. I felt my stomach drop. There were only supposed to be 5 crew members on that aircraft. We all gathered in the rear galley. 5 of us stood there, and one more, wearing our uniform. Same airline badge, same posture, same height as me. I stared at the name tag. It had my name on it. Exactly. Spelled correctly. Even the tiny scratch on the corner of my badge was there. I looked at the others. Their faces were pale because they weren't looking at him. They were looking at me. Then one of them whispered, "Why are you standing over there too?" My heart stopped because I wasn't. But at the end of the aisle, near row 27, there was another me, standing still, smiling. The lights flickered once, just once, and suddenly there were only 5 of us again. The extra one was gone. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. When we landed in London, security did a standard crew verification check, and the system showed 5 crew members checked in. But the name list had 2 of me, one marked active, one marked in transit. I was never able to find out what in transit meant, but ever since that flight, sometimes when I walk down a dark hallway, I feel like I'm not leading my shadow. It's leading me. If you were 35,000 feet over the ocean and you saw someone on your plane who wasn't on the manifest, would you report it? Or would you pretend you never saw that person? Comment report if you'd tell the captain. Comment silent if you'd keep quiet. And subscribe, because sometimes no one boards the plane. They just join mid-flight next time you fly at night. And the cabin lights dim. Count the crew very carefully.